Goedenavond bij een nieuwe uitzending van College Tour. Zonder te overdrijven, onze gast vanavond is op dit moment de meest populaire komiek ter wereld. Hij vult moeiteloos zalen in Los Angeles, New York, Parijs en Londen. En aanstaande maandag begint zijn nieuwe wereldtournee. Hij gaat naar 25 landen, maar voor het zover is, reist hij speciaal af voor College Tour naar Amsterdam. Hij is hier en samen met 300 studenten interview ik hem in het Comedy Theater in Amsterdam. Acteur, activist en natuurlijk stand-up comedian Izzard. Welcome back to Amsterdam.
Thank you very much. Very good to be back.
95, I think I saw you for the first time in Nieuwe de la Mar Theater in Amsterdam.
I just saw a poster just outside. It said Nieuwe de la Mar. I said, yes, I've played there. I don't think I've ever played... Well, I used to play the Ural Festival up in Schelling when I was a street performer, you see, and all the kids from Amsterdam and Rotterdam used to come up there, and that was great. And I also lived in Rotterdam for 1 month when I was a kid. So I was a Nederlander kid when I was... What age was I? God, I was probably about 7 or 8 for 1 month. Me and my brother were there.
Why? What were you doing?
My dad worked for BP. Yeah, he was an accountant. It was just like he had to go out and... Because this is an interesting thing about my dad. I'm about 80% similar to my dad. And he left school at 17, joined the Navy just after the war, then came out and came in at bottom level, junior cost accountant at BP, worked his way up, and kept doing... And I was born in Aden, because he took a posting in Aden, in Yemen, and met my mum there. And he started saying, I'm going to redo all the accounting systems. And the people there said, well, you can't do that, because these have been around for ages. And he said, yeah, but they're crap. So I think I've got the genetic thing built in that if you see rubbish, and it's good for everyone, I encourage all people to do this. If you see something that just seems completely rubbish, just say, well, why don't we change this? Some people don't do this. There's a whole bunch of humans out of the 7 billion of us who go, well, that's the way it's done. Yeah. So doing stand-up comedy, it's a great thing because you can think of different ways of doing things.
Unbelievable. I think you did your biography in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes, I know. I don't... Sometimes...
And we have it all lined up, little films about your dad and this and that and Ural, and you're basically we're done.
Yes, OK. Well, thanks very much.
Okay,
very good to see you. Good to be back. But...
It's great that you mentioned Ural, because we knew naturally that you performed there. And what we did is we went back to the guy who...
Joop Mulder?
Yes.
Yes.
And he has a little message for you. Have a look.
Right.
My name is Izzard. It's a rather strange name. It's got 2 Z's in it. And it's going on every night in the thing. I got a load of details about it. I think it's fun.
Hij had net dat stukje meer door de interactiviteit en ook de stand-up, de humor en steeds spelen met mensen. Dat vond ik echt fantastisch. 88, 89 en 90 speelde hij hier op straat. En dat was hier, zeg maar in deze hoek, speelde hij dan heel goed met tekst. En ja, dat was gewoon echt de begintijd van stand-up comedian. Toen hij hier op straat stond, had ik nooit verwacht dat hij in zo'n korte tijd zo op zou klimmen op de grote podia, zeg maar. En het was natuurlijk ook van een volslagen verrassing dat hij 2, 3 jaar later plotseling in New York en in Londen allemaal op de grote podia stond. Als je nu Eddie Izzard hier zou willen hebben en hij zou zijn normale tarief via zijn management moeten hebben, dan kunnen wij in de lucht gaan staren, want daar kunnen we helemaal niet aan voldoen. Maar ja, wie weet dat hij ooit nog een keer vanuit nostalgie zegt van ik moet nog een keertje terug naar Ural.
Yeah, I will.
Yes?
Yeah.
Is it a deal?
Well, the thing was, is that I was doing accounting and financial management when I was at university before I went into this. So I was always trying to get Joop to pay us more back then.
Yes.
But then people would give stuff in the streets, and they'd also put certain lumps of smoking stuff into the hat. So it was all very...
You were a user? You smoked a lot of...
Yes, I did partake. It was very... It doesn't actually work very well with comedy. It works well with music, because because I think you can get into a groove. But with comedy, your punchlines come out from the wrong joke. So it's not such a wild thing. But Joop, with amazing moustache.
Would it be possible to ever get you back on Oerol Festival Terschelling for him if he makes the call?
Absolutely. I do want to go. It's not the money thing, it's the timing thing.
Right.
But no, I will. I've already planned it in my head. So it's interesting. I never told him that I planned it, but I needed to get to a high enough level to be able to get back and get paid a decent fee. Now, it's not really about the fee, but I just wanted to, because I remember earlier, I was always trying to hustle for more money. I was a hustler. I like business. You know, I'm planning to be mayor of London.
Money is important to you.
Sorry?
Money is important.
Well, making a profit is important. And if you do good stuff, and I think I do good stuff, you kind of want to get paid decently, not ripped off. Where the balance of that is tricky, but this is what business is all about. But I do understand business. I'm not a socialist, I'm a social democrat. But I will come back to Oerol, and yes, you can use that as news, and we'll work out a deal. It'll be
Okay, 5 minutes into the show, we have one news story already. Before I let them go, because that's what we're here for, what kind of student were you when you had their age?
I was not a good student, but I was maybe what do you call it, extracurricular activity. In the extra activities, not the work, I was a brilliant student, I think. Or, yes, I was. I think I was really good.
What was it?
I was putting on shows. I took the first show up to the Edinburgh Festival, this big festival we have up in Scotland, in 1981, and no one in the university was taking anything up there. So as a 19-year-old, I was taking a show up on a wing and a prayer, and I was hitching my way up to the Edinburgh Festival. So all that stuff was so much energy going into it, and it all failed. It all failed. 81 failed, 82 failed, 83 failed, 84 I didn't go to the Edinburgh Festival, 85 failed, I was doing street performing then, 86 sort of failed, so 87.
Oerol is basically, Oerol Festival is your breakthrough.
Oerol Festival was when I started taking off. I went solo, that was one of the key things. I'd put a hippopotamus tea cozy on my head. Do you have tea cozies?
Yes.
Oh, there, you can see the duck there.
Yes.
That's one of the tea cozies. So there was a duck, there was a hippo. I found these tea cozies and they were great, and I'd spent ages putting them out on the ground. But you can see how the audience is there. They're fantastic audiences. I'd encourage anyone to go to the Oerol Festival.
We have one guy, before I let the students ask you questions, there is this one stand-up comedian here, Ronald Goedemond, you know him all, and he's a big fan, and he sort of wants to talk about your biography.
Okay.
Je moet wel enorme ballen hebben om in Wembley te gaan staan voor 10.000 mensen. En mensen mee te trekken in een fantasiewereld.
I'm buying a bird in a 747.
De reden dat ik verliefd ben geworden op de comedy van Eddie Izzard, is een stukje waarin hij vertelt over een vogel in een vliegtuig die gespot wordt door een vogel buiten het vliegtuig.
Birds outside. Sorry? White wine.
De klassiekers zoals Engelbert Humperdinck, de brainstorm over de naam Engelbert Humperdinck, waarbij hij ook die punchline heeft, van dat ze alle bizarre namen worden opgenoemd en dan zeggen ze, go back one.
Engelbert Humptyback is Engelbert Bengeldak, Engelbert Humperdinck, Wingelbert Wingeldank. No, go back one, go back one.
Hij legt er ook stukjes van hemzelf in, over zijn onzekerheden, of om te ontdekken dat hij travestiet was.
If you're transvestite, you're actually a male tomboy. That's where the sexuality is. So running, jumping, climbing trees, putting on makeup when you're up there, that's where it is.
Dat hij dan vervolgens serieus acteur is, in serieuze toneelstukken heeft gespeeld, tv-series schrijft. Die overtuiging, dat is mega inspirerend.
It's good, Roman. You're a genius.
Okay, that's why you're paying me double.
What? No.
Hij hustelt alles door elkaar. Bijbelse verwijzingen, geschiedenis, gewoon alles.
So in the Christian faith, God created Adam in his own image, yeah? So that was good. But 65 million years before that, God created the dinosaurs using the image of his cousin Ted.
Hij wil de wereld verenigen in humor. Ik vind het prachtig.
Is that what you try to do, to unite the world via your humor?
What I am trying to point out, I do not like the right wing, and I am going into politics just because the right wing keep getting back into. I mean, didn't we do the Second World War? these Nazis, and it doesn't matter which country they come from, you know, they keep coming back. Charismatic Nazis. And I want them to piss off. And so I'm getting the politics for that. The humor is... It's kind of my attack weapon because I'm not hating anyone except the right wing. And I'm kind of skeptical, you know, I'm against God because I just don't, he never turns up and helps us. So I think it's up to us. So I just believe in us and not God's. And I think...
Well, this week he was there. He mentioned that there is a new guy in the world who is going to be his follow-up act in Rome, the new Pope.
Oh, the new Pope, yes. Well, it's interesting, the last Pope retiring, which I keep saying to spend more time with his family, which is usually the line, but we didn't know he could do this.
Questions? Please stand up.
I'm a student of English, and my question is therefore language related, because you perform in both English and in French, and I wondered if you had to adapt your shows to the language.
That's a very good point. I realized... Well, I saw that bands were playing the world, and in a slightly ego-driven way. So bands turn up in Moscow and go, hey, Moscow, this one's called Shooby Dooby, and then they just go into it in English. But I wanted to play these places, and I thought, if I'm going to translate it into some of them, and then some countries are learning English, but I made all the humor universal. So that when I've come to Holland, if I go to Sweden, if I'm going to Russia, Istanbul, I'm talking about God, whether it is a God or not, whichever God, dinosaurs, supermarkets, haircuts, rooms, heating systems, playing the banjo, televisions, cameras, asking questions. All this stuff is universal.
Thank you.
I was wondering what exactly would make you a good mayor, because it's quite a serious affair and you couldn't just go off and make people laugh. And what are the attributes you have that would make you an excellent mayor?
You have said that in 2020 you want to be the mayor of London.
2020, I wish to be running for mayor of London, and 2019 I have to get the Labour Party nomination for that. So I've got 6 years and 2 months left of my career.
Before you answer the question, we have a little clip. Let's see.
The most basic question of all is, do you want a referendum? Yes. I do. Does he? My position is no, we don't want it in our referendum.
He's a great person. He's a great supporter of the Labour Party.
Are you standing for London Mayor next May? Would you stand?
No, I'm standing in 2020.
2020, but
not necessarily for mayor, but mayor, MEP or MP. But yeah, 2020, that's one.
I think Eddie Izzard will be a great, great person to put himself forward, and I wish him the best of luck.
What makes you a good mayor from London?
To be... the attributes that make me a good mayor, I think, is energy. I think I have a lot of energy. You need energy for this. I think I can think in a different way to the normal procedures. And a lot of politicians will come into politics quite early and go through a normal system. Like my dad, and I think I've proved with my career, I do think out of the box. So hopefully I can come up with some positive new ways of doing things. I've got energy. I ran 43 marathons in 51 days. So I can stay committed to something, and I like people. I said this to my political friends when I started. They said, why do you want to do this? I like people. I think most people are great. I don't like the fascists. They can all piss off. And so we come from 10,000 people. We're now 7 billion. We've got to learn to work together. This nail here, I'm a British European transvestite. The European Union has to work in some shape or form. If we can't get this working, how the hell is any other continent going to work?
Are you convinced? Could he be the mayor of London?
Yeah, I'm very convinced. I have every confidence in you.
Well, we will see, because I will be hated. You know, I will get in and be hated, and people will shout, you know, horrible, disgusting things at me. But then when I walked out the door when I was 23 wearing a skirt and makeup, people shouted horrible and disgusting things at me, and I dealt with that. And I realized I don't think it's actually going to be much worse in politics.
Is politics often about the fear card, playing the fear card?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know...
So you have to go and play the fear card if you
well,
want to be the mayor
my fear card is, you know, the right wing. Be as scared of them. They keep coming back. They blame everyone. Hitler blamed the Jewish people and the Bolsheviks. The Jewish people because they're apparently all about money. The Bolsheviks because they weren't into money. He said the Jewish-Bolshevik conspiracy. Endlessly. The Eighth Army went into Russia murdering people. Not just the full-blown Nazis, the SS, but the average Eighth Army people were doing this. They were happy to let that go by because of the Jewish-Bolshevik conspiracy. How can you have the people into money and the people not into money have having conspiracy. It's insane from the first words that came out of his mouth. They just come up with this rubbish. So fear the right wing. Always fear them. Do not trust them. Blame them for hate crimes. Blame them for stuff like this. But blame them if your car doesn't work. Blame them if the weather is bad. Let's blame them before they blame us, as they've done that throughout the centuries.
Do you think you can keep the nails while being mayor of London?
This is my political statement.
Okay, and then the Prince of Saudi Arabia stops by and wants to give an handshake.
Well, he can chill out. I mean, you see, the point is, it's not my problem. These are my genetics. I was given this as a gift. And this prince from Saudi Arabia or wherever, they will know in their country, if they really think about it, that there are gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual people. Now, it may be against somebody's religion, but human rights are more important than the beliefs in people, the mystical people who we have never seen. So human rights are more important than any other rights. So that's how it works.
Yeah, so you got the EU flag on your nails?
Yes, the British European transvestite. Yeah. There we go. See, that's a political statement. These scream quietly.
Do people see this? Do they...
Well, they don't. See, quite often they talk to me and they go, oh, and then they go, oh. You know, there's two levels. There's, oh, you got your nails painted. Oh, maybe you're transvestite. They can't see the heels necessarily. And then they go, oh, there's a flag. Oh, there's another flag. Oh, what's that? Oh, I see what that... You know, so there's about 4 or 5 different explosions that go on. But, you know, I'm going to fight like crazy for this because... You know, we had World War II, and then we're heading forward. The whole idea of this was to stop us murdering each other. And even
the EU flag, you mean?
Yes, the EU flag. Yeah. And even in the United Kingdom flag, that's a mixture of flags. You know, a mixture of countries trying to come together. We're all trying to get to the place where everyone can have a decent life, and it really shouldn't matter. In the end, all the continents have to come together and have an agreement, and then everyone in the world has a chance. We've got to try and get to a fair world by the end of this century. I think we've just got that's the clock ticking.
If not, what happens?
If not, someone's going to invent something so small, so portable, that it blows something up or it's got some deadly disease in it. Someone that pissed off because they're not getting any fair deal. You know, there's people living in certain countries still living on $1 a day, $2 a day, or, you know, and then someone with a lot of charisma can come along and say, join me in my campaign against the rest of the world who don't seem to care about us. And if we're not heading towards a fair world, because I believe terrorism exists, the oxygen of terrorism is despair. And we've got to get to the place where everyone has hope. Everyone thinks, hey, my family can do better. The Arab Spring uprisings, now we still don't know quite how it's all going to play out. We're looking at Egypt and going, hopefully this is going to get to a good place. I want to do gigs in Arabic, and I was born in an Arabic country, and that's my duty, to try and reach out there. But
that would be, I mean, it would be serious as a transvestite to go to a Muslim country, probably.
I don't think it'd be that serious. I'm not coming and saying anything except for this is my sexuality. It's honest, and if I go into a Sharia law, really strict place, that's going to be a problem. But I think I can go to Cairo, and I want to go to Cairo. That's the place I've got to learn Arabic because they make all the films, and so everyone seems to understand. All my Arabic people I meet tell me get to Cairo and learn that street language.
In front.
Hi, my name is Ties. I have a question about your jokes, because your jokes are very different. From the one joke is about Darth Vader trying to get a penna labiati in the Death Star canteen. And I find it very funny, but I was wondering, how did you make that up? Like, you're watching Star Wars and you're thinking, oh, but it would be great if there was a canteen here. Or...
No, that is an interesting point. I used to, when I started, I used to write sketches, so like Monty Python. So I used to sit down, and usually about 2 in the morning, I'd get it written. It was quite difficult to get the idea. Once you got the idea, then usually with a diagonal, a sensible thing with a diagonal in it, and then off you'd go. And so the Darth Vader one is Darth Vader, yes. Okay, impression of Darth Vader, yes. Make those kind of noises, yes. Then take him to a canteen where some ordinary people hang out. That gets interesting. I'm just playing around in my head. I'm trying to make myself laugh. So I just come up with things. So I don't really know where it comes from, but I'm very open on stage to the idea of finding things.
We have a little clip of highlights from your show, also Darth Vader in the canteen.
And yeah, also, if you're a transvestite, you get lumped into that weirdo grouping. You know, there was a guy in the Bronx. When I was in New York, there was a guy in the Bronx. He was living in a cave, like you do. And they found, in his cave, the police picked him up. They found a collection of women's shoes. And they thought, well, maybe he's a transvestite. And if he is, he's a fucking weirdo transvestite. I'm much more in the executive transvestite area.
Beekeepers, yes. Beekeepers, they've got to want to be. I want to be a beekeeper. I want to keep bees. Don't want them to get away. I want to keep them.
My father was a beekeeper before me. His father was a beekeeper before him. I want to walk in their footsteps. And their footsteps were like this. Ah! Ah! I'm covered in bees. Ah! But there must have been a Death Star canteen, yeah? There must have been a cafeteria downstairs, in between battles, where Darth Vader could just chill and go down. I will have the penne alla arrabbiata. You'll need a tray. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? This is not a game of who the fuck are you. No, the food is hot. You'll need a tray to put the food on. Oh, I see the food is hot. I'm sorry, I did not realize.
The Darth Vader routine.
Yes.
That's something that is, a lot of people watch that all the time on YouTube.
Yeah, it is the calling card.
Are you tempted to do that every night again or never
No,
anymore?
I don't do it at all. People know the punchlines. Monty Python talked about touring, and people knew all the punchlines. So John Cleese would say they'd start a scene, and then everyone would go, hey, big applause, it's this one, it's the parrot sketch. And then they would be quiet all the way through it, hitting your punchline, nothing, hitting your punchline, nothing. At the end, big applause, a bit like it just played a song.
So the bigger the success of a sketch or a scene, it doesn't work anymore for an audience like
You
this.
have to kill it and move on, and if everyone knows where I'm going, it doesn't work.
Right.
Excuse me, I got a cough.
Yeah. Take a sip. You want a cup of tea?
Yeah, a cup of tea would be great.
Have you got a cup of tea? Yep. It's coming up.
Anything hot and burn it down my thing.
Yeah.
I should say, because I am a relentless self-publicist and you like news, that I'm doing one extra gig in Holland. An extra one that's not even known. So, and with that noise...
You asked for it.
Yeah. I think I'm playing the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th.
April.
In April in Amsterdam.
Heineken Musical.
The 20th. The 21st, I go to Antwerp, which is not Holland, but is a language is spoken there, which it's the same. Is it the same?
It's the same, and we're trying to get the country back anyways.
Right, so that's... Well, this is what we have in Europe. This is why Europe is tricksy, isn't it? Because, I mean, we've got Scotland and England and Wales and Northern Ireland, which, and there's the Republic of Ireland and all that kind of stuff. Oh, thank you. Oh, have I got to make it? Or is it you do this in... Everywhere in Holland, no one makes it. Oh, bloody hell. I have no glasses, so is any of them...
Earl Grey?
English normal.
It's not technically so.
Sorry, I don't mean English normal, I just mean breakfasty. Oh, it's Earl Grey. Anything...
Tea,
Any builder's tea? You haven't got builder's?
I'm afraid not.
Green tea?
Oh, weird.
And we've got
Have you got any
winter
coffee?
low.
Got any coffee?
Yeah.
No, I can't...
I'll take the tea. You can...
Oh, you think? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah? Are you sure?
Yeah, no, if it's doing something for... Actually, my throat thing's gone now.
You're very confident about your sexuality, but have you ever been ashamed of being a
transvestite? Yes, shame and guilt was the two things that I travel with. And if you are alternative sexuality, people can make you feel that. Hopefully less so these days than before.
How old were you when you found out?
I realised when I was 4 or 5. And
it's unbelievably young.
Well, a lot of, I don't know, anyone else, gay, lesbian, transgender, I think the majority of us, I strongly believe it's genetics. I'm getting my genetics checked out now, and I'm going to tell my guy I want to cross-check it with someone who's very girly, because I have the girly genetics, and the rest of it is boy genetics. So shame and guilt were the two things that when I was 22, I started lying on my bed in my room with the curtains closed to try and take my mind, to self-analyze myself, to work out why was I thinking the way I was thinking. And I didn't come to any big conclusion. My brain would actually not let me do it. I've heard about people who've had car crashes or terrible experiences, and their brains will actually concrete over these problem areas or these horrible thoughts. And so for mine, my brain would not let me think about it. It had this emergency thing, and I kept thinking about it for about 3 minutes, and then, boom, I'm thinking about something totally different. So in the end, I came to the conclusion that shame and guilt were not my end of town. I'm expressing my genetics, and it's a fair thing. It's not a problem to anyone. It's not hurting anyone else. And if anyone has a problem with it, they can get treatment for it. The right wing can get treatment for their problems, and the people who are open and honest, we're doing fine. So,
did you have any stand-up comedian heroes for you whilst being a child? And what was your first gig like? How did it work out for you?
Okay, that's 3. I better stop you there, otherwise I go on. So comedy was in the family. I think it's a genetic thing. My dad had it, my brother has it, I have it, the same comedy. My brother is helping me. He speaks German, Spanish, and French, so he's helping me, and he can say, here's a better joke you can use in there. So he was just, I just left him in Paris as I came over here to do this. So, so that's great. And the first ever laugh I got was when I was 12. The teacher forced us all to do, the whole class, about 16 of us, 12, 16, something like that, small class, but to do these sketches. And I did a cricketing sketch where I was noticing that cricket players, quite often when the ball is bowled, and you don't play cricket, but you might have seen it on the television, but cricket players, when they're kids, not good people, they will lash out at something in a very bad move. And then they once the ball has just disappeared, they practice this very sensible move that they should have done. And it was quite funny at the time. But that was my first laugh when I was 12. But I didn't think I could make people laugh. I just liked humour. And Benny Hill, which was known here, yeah? Now, Benny Hill ended up being seen as very mainstream and very sexist, and the women running around and all that kind of stuff. But early Benny Hill is good stuff.
Well, he was gay, right?
No, it seems that Benny Hill was more... He couldn't get relationships going. He was actually having sort of sexual encounters with the women who were hired on it. So he was straight, but he just couldn't chat anyone up and get them into a relationship. He just never got that far. But he had all this confidence on stage, but he wasn't actually having relationships. But he was...
Do you recognize that thing? I mean, many people who are very good on stage are, for example, shy in a group of people.
Charlie Chaplin, I believe, suffered from this. That his early relationships were with younger women who were in his productions. I found that I got to a place where I was very commanding on stage, and I'd come off and a woman would come up in the stand-up circuit and would go, "That was amazing," and I go, "Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know." And I couldn't work out what I had to do. Which is, you got to get, chat people up. It's got to get into this sort of sexy chit-chat that ends up getting people into bed. And some people are very good at it from year one, and some people are slow starters. I was a slow starter.
Did you get good at it?
I did. I got very good.
Yeah. You've been talking about your parents. Your mom died when you were 6 years old, I think. And I've seen some great documentaries about you, one in which you are looking for your DNA and the ancestors, and other documentaries. This is a little bit about your parents, your mom and your dad.
His mum died of cancer when Eddie was a young boy.
One of the things she said to me before she died was she wouldn't have the pleasure of seeing you grow up.
Yeah. We didn't understand what was going on. I just thought she was ill. You get ill, you get better. And then one day she wasn't there. I think the performing was about trying to get everyone to love. You're trying to get the love of the audience. And that was a swap from Mum's love not being there. The big problem is that everything I do in life is trying to get her back. Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing.
Is she the source of your work, your mom?
Well, I've been thinking about it. I mean, see, that's from the documentary Believe, and it's took ages of filming before that came out. It was kind of weird because I didn't know I was going to say that, so I sort of said it for the first time. And it's kind of true. It's as if I'm trying to impress my mother. I am trying to impress my dad as well, but it's as if trying to reach beyond the wall of death or something. But I suddenly started thinking, what if, because Mum was an amateur performer, she did sketches and she did a lot of singing, and she sang with choirs, and that was more her thing, more singing than comedy, and Dad was the comedy thing, but she was the performance thing. So those came into me, I think, genetically. And if Mum had stayed alive, I wondered, would I still be performing? And I think I might be. She might have encouraged me to do it. Dad wasn't really encouraging me to do it, but she might have. She might have thought that would be fun. But I did feel that I swapped this affection thing. Mum disappears, affection just disappears from one half of my parents, and then the audience, this substitute thing. there are a number of people. Madonna's mother died at 6. Orson Welles' mother died very early. Some people, you might have your parents alive, but, you know, dysfunctional family. I think there is a pattern of that around the world with people who do that. Could be just overachievers. Churchill, his dad died early, but his mother, desperate letters to his mother to come and see him, and his mother seemed to be into having affairs with everyone and not doing it. So you get someone who overachieves or pushes to achieve a lot.
But are you saying that the audience, we are sort of the surrogate for your mom? Or for motherly love? Or?
That's what it started out as. But it's mothers, hopefully mothers would give unconditional love, a positive love like that. But audiences give conditional love. So if you do rubbish, they will go away. If you do very good stuff, then it's positive.
But it's not a replacement. I mean, it can never be a replacement for...
no, it doesn't seem to be a replacement. I'd still prefer... If Mum could come back and I didn't do any of this and I'd work in a shoe shop, that'd be fine.
Yep.
I think so. I mean, I can't prove that, but, you know, I would do one hell of a deal to get... I can't go in there. Can't talk about that.
Where's the microphone? Over there.
Yes, hi. I'm Maudi, and I was wondering, I have a political question for you, because you make a lot of jokes in your shows about the Queen of England with the cake on her head and thing. And I was wondering, how do you see the future of monarchy within modern-day democracy? How do you feel about
I think hereditary privilege is wrong. It's ethically wrong, and I don't judge, if you take our family or any monarchy, I judge any person who gets this hereditary privileged place by what they do with their lives. The titles are of no interest to me. People fawn and go crazy over monarchy in our country. We had 60 glorious years, apparently, of the Queen. She said one of them was an annus horribilis, so that's got to be 59 at least, even by her standard. But no one gives a damn about that, and they just go bananas. And it's quite often, it's not necessarily the monarchs or the royalty people themselves, the people surrounding them, who it's their vested interest to keep this all going. They're getting paid, they love living in this place where they'll get ushered through. People just go bonkers on it, and I won't. For me, I won't have it. I don't want titles, I don't want stuff, I don't want to hang out with royalty. So democratic monarchy is my idea. The idea that you extend so you go, say you went from William I in line to the throne up to, say, the 100th in line to the throne, and every 5 years they would go forward and say, well, vote for me. You could choose who would be king or queen for 5 years.
Who would be your ideal king or queen?
That's not the way. I think if it happened right now, I think William would win it. I think he's been behaving very responsibly and very positively. I think Harry could win it as well. But I put this forward because otherwise, what do we do about monarchs? You got monarch, yeah?
Well, actually, when you are performing here in April, that's the month of the coronation of the new king in the Netherlands, Willem-Alexander. The Queen is leaving, she resigned.
I think that's a good example of her resigning and handing over the baton. I think the Queen of England should do the same and just say, you know, otherwise she just stays there forever. It just can be, it's too long. And I think Liz and Phil, I've been very down on them because they're not doing anything interesting. It's just, you know, there could be a lot that could be done. 60 years. Come up with some new ideas.
Have you met them?
Kids. I've met Charlie, I've met Camilla, I've met...
Charlie is Prince Charles.
Yeah.
Camilla, you met the Queen? You didn't meet the Queen?
No, it's just not my thing.
You're very driven. You're doing this world tour now. 25 countries, I think.
25 countries and counting. I think I'm adding Shanghai in my head for next year.
Then there's another thing. I'm a runner myself, but when I first heard that you did 43 marathons in how many days?
51.
I couldn't believe that is even possible, but it is. You did this.
Eddie decided to go for a run, a very long run. His aim, to cover over 1,000 brutal miles around the United Kingdom. A marathon a day, 6 days a week.
Dat is gekke werk. 43 marathons in zoveel dagen is gekke werk. Prachtig als je het kan, fantastisch dat hij het gered heeft. Maar je kunt niet zoveel marathons achter elkaar lopen, omdat het lichaam, zelfs het lichaam van Eddie Izzard, heeft tijd nodig om te herstellen. Ik denk dat een marathon lopen en zelfs heel veel marathons lopen heel goed zonder doping kan. Hoewel ik denk dat Eddie zeker vele varianten van pijnstillers heeft gebruikt. En wellicht nog andere zaken.
I'm thinking the gels might be giving me wind.
10.8. This freezing ice bath will help his muscles recover.
En dat is pijnlijk, vooral voor de tere delen. Het is niet iets wat je jezelf dagelijks toewenst.
Can't fucking move. 5 more to go. 5 more marathons. Only 5 more. A bagatelle.
Ik denk dat Eddie stiekem al 6 maanden ergens in Davos op hoogte is geprepareerd op deze prachtige actie. Na 42 marathons een 43e marathon uitlopen is een onwaarschijnlijke prestatie waar al die Kenianen een puntje aan kunnen zuigen.
I feel exhausted.
The question is, why did you do it?
Well, I realized that we should be running, swimming, or cycling. We should be doing stuff. All wild animals are fit. All wild animals are 100% fit. Not 75% of wild animals are 36% fit. You know, it's all of them are completely fit. The big ones, the small ones, whatever size. And we should be working till 12 and then exercising. If we want to live these decent lives. So I thought I should be doing that. I thought I could do quite an extensive run. I planned a big extensive run, and then Sport Relief is a part of a Red Nose Day, which is comic relief, which is this little badge here, which is happening at the moment back in Britain, and they do comedy 1 year, and then they do sport the next year. And they just asked people, anyone want to do anything who's got a certain profile?
How much money did you raise?
That, with their help, because they've got a great organisation, that's £1.8 million, which is probably about 2.4 million euros.
Dolph Jansen, the comedian, asked himself if you use anything. Are you the Lance Armstrong of marathon?
No, well, this is interesting. If you see, my marathons took up to 12 hours. And if I'm on anything, then I should be going back to whoever made the drug and say,
kill him.
These are just rubbish drugs, because I'm taking forever to get through these. You know, the world record for a marathon is 2 hours. I took up 12 hours was the longest. 5 hours was the quickest.
Over here.
Hi, I'm Lisanne. I do stand-up comedy as well. And I would really like to know what you think makes up a good comedian. And what is the biggest mistake I could make as a beginner?
What makes a good comedian? Makes a good comedian, you need to be different to the others. You're always going to start off being influenced by a number of people. You need to get inside your personality and say how you feel about things, what your take is on this, because everyone's personality is like a fingerprint and completely individual. So that's what's going to make it good, and hopefully being influenced by other good comedians. I started off feeling that I was Richard Pryor and Billy Connolly. The essential base is Monty Python. What I do is Monty Python and stand-up. So it all comes out of that. But determination is the big important thing. There's a lot of great comedians I've seen who've just given up. Even in the workshop, I thought these people had the potential to go a long way, and then they ended up just chucking it in after a few years, or maybe sometimes after about 5 years. Determination is the most important thing.
Take a sip, and then one little clip, because all of you have been talking about that. The English comedians are apparently the best export product you have at the time, because you're going everywhere. These guys are everywhere.
I like to watch sport, but I don't really like to do it, even though I am a bit of a fitness icon. And I'm trying to head into drama a bit. You know, I auditioned for Footballers' Wives. Didn't get in, but I have actually got into a new series of Darts Players' Wives.
Welcome to St John's Hospital. My name is Carol. How can I help you?
We need to go straight to the maternity ward.
Computer says no.
Answer your names. Bottom. Clitoris. Where are you, clitoris?
No one's calling their kid Adolf nowadays. No little Adolfs going to school. Loads of Brads and Angelinas, but no, look, you don't hear the teacher doing the register. Brad here, Angelina here, Adolf here.
2 more questions. Yep.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, here in Holland, comedy that is really offensive, could be really offensive, names like Hans Theeuwen, Theo Maassen, is quite popular. And in English, in England as well, I think. Jimmy Carr, Ricky Gervais. What's your attitude towards really offensive comedy?
Well, it's not my cup of tea. Unless you're offending the right wing. Yeah, but you know, we have freedom of speech, and you know, people go do their thing, and it's whatever they want to do.
Over here.
Do you invent all your jokes yourself, and do you think you are a funny person in general?
Okay, interesting. All the jokes, yes, come from me. Sometimes.
And your brother as well.
Yes, my brother gave me stuff in French. He will advise me. I think my dad could as well. We're like a triple act when we get together, my brother and my dad and me. So all the jokes generally come from myself. What was the other part of your question?
In private?
In private?
When you're not on stage.
I'm less funny in private. That's the trouble, because comedians develop comedy as a social tool, I believe, in company. Maybe at school, maybe in a bar and a thing, and it's a way of impressing girls or whoever you're trying to get off with. For me, there was one girl for every 20 boys at school, so that was bad numbers. And if you weren't playing football, they didn't allow you to play football at my school. So I just wasn't on the register, but I cracked jokes for a year, and by the summer term, I do remember a girl, as I was going to lunch, going, "I didn't even know you were in this class until now." And I made a mental note saying, "This is working."
Well done.
So that's it. So, but then as you become more professional, you go on stage, you get so good at being able to create comedy that you take over social situations. So you tend to actually shut up. So you become the same boring person you were before you became funny in class. So it's a bit of a sad thing. That's why a lot of comedians can be quite insular and quiet and locked down, because they've lost the social thing, or they don't feel they can do it, because it will actually just take over the room.
Because everybody's waiting for you to give the best joke.
In a way, but even if you go into a foreign situation where no one knows you, you're just so trained at looking for jokes, you go bam, 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 and then everyone's laughing, and suddenly you're taking over the room. And then you think, that's not very polite to everyone else, so you shut up.
Right. So in the end, has it made your life funnier, better to be a great stand-up comedian, or also more complicated because of what you're saying in social situations where it's difficult to be yourself or not crack jokes?
It's a lot better. It's a lot better. And I was a street performer, for 4.5 years, and the Oordel Festival really helped on that. That was a wonderful place to play, and I didn't play in many different places, but I did play there, and it was great to be out, having been a kid in Rotterdam, and a latchkey kid at that, and always being fascinated by the canals, and so to be able to travel, and I've used it to get myself out there, like Dylan Moran, the Irish comedians, doing as well. And some people just go around UK, they just want to do that, but I'm saying no, encouraging people to get out and see the world. Travel broadens the mind, the melting pot will save the world. The right wing won't save the world, they'll murder the world. So it's up to us to stand up, be counted. And if you're doing things, if you run a bookshop, then run bookshops or set up bookshops in other countries. If whatever you're making, tea, glasses, whatever you can do, get round the world and see the rest of the world, because we're all the same. We're all just few percentages of DNA off each other. So yes, long live the differences and long live the similarities, but we've got to make this thing work, and it's up to us.
Eddie Izzard. Volgende week zijn we er weer. En dan met op vele verzoeken de herhaling van het programma dat we eerder maakten vorig jaar met Desmond Tutu. Die zie je volgende week. En de week daarna, dan hebben we de politicus van het jaar 2012. Deze man.
Als je kijkt naar het oude studiefinancieringsstelsel, het Rijksstudietoelagensysteem van 1986... dan ontving een student dan toen 608 gulden per maand aan basisbeurs. Zoals het woord al zegt, niet alleen green, maar ook peace. Dit is radioactiviteit en dat ligt gewoon op de oceaanbodem daar. Die samenleving, dat zijn wij met z'n allen. En we gaan het niet in ons eentje doen. Nou doet u het weer. Nou doet u het weer.
Een heel hard applaus voor onze geweldige politiek leider Diederik Samson.
Diederik Samson, dus in College Tour aanmelden. Ik zou graag zeggen, kom nog langs. Maar inmiddels hebben we meer dan 1100 aanmeldingen voor die opname. Diederik Samson, dus dat gaat niet meer. Wel nog voor de week daarna. Kijk op onze website collegetour.ntr.nl. Nigella Lawson, ook uit Engeland natuurlijk. De koningin van de betere kookprogramma's. Do you know her, by the way, Nigella Lawson?
Yeah, well, we did a go and get Michael Parkinson. We did, Michael Parkinson?
Yes.
We did an interview together, and she started saying things to me about being a transvestite, which was very interesting. She said, "It's all about your mother." And I said, "No, it isn't." And she said, "Yes, it is." I said, "Well, are you a lesbian?" And then I said, "Back off, sister. You don't know what you're talking about."
Okay. Nigella Lawson dus. Ga naar onze website. Jullie allemaal bedankt hier voor geweldige vragen. U bedankt, jullie thuis bedankt voor het kijken. En nog een keer Eddie Izzard. Thank you so much for being here.
NTR, speciaal voor iedereen.